O mighty king, the laws of the ancestors are not yours to bend. Ignore them, and calamity will follow.
Calamity? I am the crown. The spirits themselves bow to me.
Power without wisdom is a dangerous path, my king. Even the tallest tree falls when it forgets its roots.
Look upon my kingdom. No man or spirit can question my rule. All obey my will.
Long ago, in the lush and thriving kingdom of Obaala, the morning sun poured golden light over the village, reflecting on thatched roofs damp with dew. Palm trees swayed gently, casting dancing shadows over the central courtyard, where the king sat upon his throne, a masterpiece of carved wood adorned with cowrie shells, beads, and intricate symbols of the ancestors. King Obinna's presence was commanding, his dark skin glowing in the morning light, braided hair and traditional facial marks emphasizing his royal authority. His voice carried over the gathered villagers with strength and certainty. "Behold my kingdom. No man or spirit can question my rule. All obey my will," he proclaimed, his chest swelling with pride. The villagers bowed deeply, some with admiration, some with unease. Whispers drifted like a gentle wind. "His pride blinds him. May the ancestors have mercy," murmured one advisor to another. Yet the king's gaze swept the courtyard as if seeing only devotion, refusing to acknowledge the growing tension in the hearts around him. Pride, he believed, was strength. Yet pride, as the elders had always said, is the first seed of ruin. From the shadows of the courtyard emerged Chief Priestess Nnenna. Her robes flowed gracefully, colored in earthy tones with subtle gold embroidery, her beads and charms clinking softly as she walked. Her dark eyes, sharp and piercing, reflected centuries of wisdom. The villagers gave way as she approached the king, sensing the gravity of her presence. Her hair was braided intricately and wrapped with cloth strips, symbols of her sacred role. "O mighty king, the laws of the ancestors are not yours to bend. Ignore them, and calamity will follow," she said, her voice calm but unwavering. King Obinna laughed, a sound full of arrogance and certainty. "Calamity? I am the crown. The spirits themselves bow to me." "Power without wisdom is a dangerous path, my king. Even the tallest tree falls when it forgets its roots," the priestess replied, her gaze unwavering. The villagers exchanged nervous glances. Some whispered prayers under their breath, others simply looked to the ground. But the king, intoxicated with power, ignored all warnings. He believed that his will alone could shape the world, that the spirits of the forest, the ancestors, and even the sacred laws were subservient to him. And yet the forest beyond the village stirred. Its shadows deepened, and mist curled along gnarled roots. The ancient trees seemed to lean forward, whispering warnings that only the most perceptive could hear. "Heed the warnings, or darkness shall consume the throne," the wind seemed to murmur. "I fear nothing," the king shouted, his voice echoing through the courtyard. "This forest, these spirits, they do not command me. The forest watches my king, and it remembers all," the priestess said softly, her tone both warning and sorrowful. Weeks passed, and subtle calamities began to creep into the kingdom. The river that nourished the fields slowed to a trickle, and the crops that once grew tall and plentiful began to wither. Birds, which had filled the trees with song, grew silent. Shadows lingered in the corners of the village, stretching unnaturally as though alive with watchful eyes. The villagers murmured in fear and uncertainty, their whispered prayers growing desperate. King Obinna, proud and stubborn, dismissed the signs. Yet in the quiet moments of the night, doubt began to creep into his mind, a thought he tried to silence, for fear is weakness in the eyes of a king. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the forest, the sky turned crimson, and winds carried a strange, chilling scent. Chief Priestess Nnenna approached the king again, her robes damp from the river mist, her eyes fierce with the will of the ancestors. "You have brought this upon yourself, my king. Only humility can save you now," she warned urgently. "Humility?" the king scoffed, though a tremor of fear laced his voice. "I am the throne, the crown, the king. I bow to no one." That night, the forest revealed its wrath. Shadows twisted into shapes of warriors long past, their eyes glowing like fire. Trees uprooted, crashing against huts and the palace walls. The river overflowed, carrying debris and mud into the courtyard. The villagers fled, screaming and crying as the chaos unfolded around them. For the first time, fear gripped King Obinna's heart. He realized that his power, his pride, and his crown could not protect him from forces greater than himself. The chief priestess stood firm amidst the chaos, raising her carved staff toward the king. "Return what you have taken. Honor the laws of the ancestors. Only then may the kingdom live," she commanded. Humbled and terrified, King Obinna approached the sacred grove. He knelt on the damp earth, bowing his head to the spirits that had once been his subjects in arrogance. Slowly, he returned the lands he had taken, repaired the sacred trees, and performed the rituals demanded by the priestess and the ancestors. He recited the sacred words, offered food, and burned incense, his voice trembling with sincerity. The river flowed once more, its waters clear and nourishing. Crops revived, growing taller and healthier than before. The shadows of the forest receded, leaving only the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind. The villagers cautiously returned, witnessing the king's transformation. They whispered amongst themselves, sharing stories of pride, fall, and redemption. King Obinna, now changed, ruled with humility. He listened to the priestess, the elders, and the voices of his people. He honored the sacred lands and the ancestral laws. He walked among the villagers at dawn, reflecting on the lessons taught by the forest, the priestess, and the calamity he had almost brought upon his people. He understood at last that leadership is not measured by the strength of one's command, but by the wisdom to honor those who have walked before and the humility to respect the unseen forces that shape life. Stories of the king's pride and his eventual transformation spread across neighboring villages. Traders and travelers carried the tale far and wide. Children gathered around elders, wide-eyed and attentive, learning the crucial lesson that respect for laws, nature, and the unseen powers is far stronger than any crown. The kingdom flourished, the rivers sparkled, the forest grew dense and vibrant, and the village thrived. Yet the memory of the calamity lingered as a soft, invisible warning in the hearts of all. Power without wisdom invites ruin, and arrogance blinds even the strongest of rulers. Even years later, King Obinna walked silently through the sacred grove at dawn. His robes rustled against the damp earth, and his eyes softened as he reflected on the past. He remembered the shadows, the river, the storm, and the forest's whispers. Every step he took honored the lessons learned. Every word he spoke carried the weight of humility and wisdom. The chief priestess continued to guide the kingdom, her calm presence a reminder that the balance of power and respect must never be broken. She taught the villagers, guided the rituals, and ensured that the stories of pride, fall, and redemption would never be forgotten. In time, the tale became legend, whispered among generations, of the king who dared the spirits, of the forest that remembered, and of the power of humility to restore balance. Stories that whisper, lessons that last. This is WhisperTales.